What's up guys, this is Dark Magician here and welcome to another KOF video. So guys, after we got Robert 11 in mid-month last month, the new boss for the month of July will be one-man army Ralf as expected. And yes, he is the second member of the new Ikari team along with Silent Soldier Leona and Strong and Cool Clark. So yeah, he's a very popular character and a lot of people have been waiting for him. So yeah, today's character introduction will be for one-man army Ralf. Okay guys, so as you can see, Ralf is an API 15 tank. Now here, as you can see, his most prominent stat is the block rate. Like here, it's at 37%, which is great. And of course, after you equip it with runes and other stuff, it will get higher. All his stats will basically get higher once you get the fighter and once you equip him with the many buffs, okay? Now the feature says Steel Defense and the Furious Fist simply because he is good in defense and in offense at the same time. Now also in the feature, he's a member of course of the Ikari team along with, well, API 12 Ralf, Leona, Clark, Hydern, Whip, Orochi Leona and Keri Leona in a way. So yeah. Now, let's start with the fates first. The first one, Wild Power, we need one-man army Ralf, Keri Leona and Nightmare Geese increasing attack plus 25%. The second fate, Powerful Attack, we need one-man army Ralf, Heavy D and Orochi Yashiro increasing HP plus 25%. And the third fate, Steel Barrier, we need Ralf, Oswald, Maxima and Zero increasing HP again plus 25%. Now here of course second fate is pretty easy. Third fate is, well, I don't know, it depends if people got Oswald or not. It's just the first fate that is a bit weird because it's kind of different from the Chinese server, where in the Chinese server it's totally different, but here it's somehow easier. I mean, Keri Leona and Nightmare Geese are easier because I think the other one needed, if I'm not wrong, I think they need Clark and Vice, the new Vice. So I think pretty much the fates are reasonable in a way, even if we couldn't like unlock the three of them. But anyway, his weapon, High Explosive Grenade, and he uses Earth Shaking Badge and Street Fight Taunt. Now moving to his fight soul, it's called the Raging Bear Soul. Of course, gain 115 rage initially and restore extra rage when being attacked, so definitely a bear soul and a tortoise soul as well. Of course, because he's a tank, tortoise soul is always a good one for tanks. Now let's start with his skills. His passive first, Explosive Gunpowder. Increase own rage recovery speed by 50% and the other Ikari team members' rage recovery speed increased by 25%. So here we're gonna start to see the synergy between the Ikari team members. So he gets 50% extra rage restoration while his Ikari team members will get 25%. Own small skill and ultimate attack will add a layer of explosive gunpowder to the target. Now here again, I'm gonna upload a little screenshot just to see how you can see the explosive gunpowder on the opponent. So of course, upon making a small skill and an ultimate, he will add an explosive gunpowder layer to the target. The effect cannot be resisted, like if he attacks this target, they will get this explosive gunpowder, they can't resist it, and it can add up to 6 times, while only one layer of explosive gunpowder can be dispelled each time. So let's say the opponent somehow wanted to dispel his own debuff, he can't really dispel more than one layer at a time, okay, of explosive gunpowder. So one layer of explosive gunpowder will be added when the target with explosive gunpowder attacks. So oh yeah, okay, so here when this opponent attacks, when he has the explosive gunpowder and he attacks somebody, he will simply add another layer of explosive gunpowder, and like what we've mentioned, it can stack up to 6 times. And 8% own HP will be restored when each layer of explosive gunpowder is added to the target. So however the target gets an explosive gunpowder layer, Ralf will restore 8% own HP for himself. Now when the explosive gunpowder is detonated, an extra damage of the target's defense, which is worth 220% plus 90% times the layers of the explosive gunpowder, of course it can be from 1 to 6, will be caused to the target, and 50% splash damage will be caused to the surrounding enemies. So here, the more explosive gunpowder layers the opponent has, the more damage Ralf can make to his opponents. And the good thing here is that he doesn't really rely on his base attack, but he relies more on his on his opponent's defense, of course, and the number of the layers of the explosive gunpowder that this opponent has. And as what we've mentioned, 50% splash damage, all detonation damage ignores the debuff, so it doesn't really like, even if the opponent is immune to control or anything, it will just ignore them. Now, at the same time, 4% own HP will be restored when each layer of explosive gunpowder is detonated. So again, depending on the number of the explosive gunpowders, how much is detonated in this round, he will regain 4% own HP for every one layer of explosive gunpowder. So as you can see, he does have good means of regaining HP according to the layers of explosive gunpowder that the opponents hold. And of course, increase own defense by 70%, which is very high, and damage by 15%. And when attacked by the target with no explosive gunpowder, one man army Ralf will be treated as having an extra 30% anti-crit, and the effect is somehow still works even if there is no enemy with explosive gunpowder, so he will gain 30% anti-crit every time he gets attacked. So pretty much you won't really see him receiving a critical hit. Now, own debuff will be dispelled, including petrification, when one-man army Ralf is at full rage. That's actually nice. Whenever he is at full rage, he will clear his own debuff, even petrification, and control effect is immune, so he will become immune to control when he has full rage. And this is pretty easy because he's a tortoise in a way. Of course he's a wild bear, but he does have a tortoise soul, so he regains rage fast, and this is why you will see him at full rage a lot of times, so he will be immune to control most of the times. And the effect will last until the next time one-man army Ralf releases his ultimate. It can stay up to 1 round at most. Well, pretty much he somehow can make an ultimate every round, I think, so he will be immune to control most of the times. If there are at least 3 members of the Ikari warriors on own side and 8 team in the first round, increase own anti-ultimate or ultimate resistance by 20% for 2 rounds. So that's actually another synergy between him and the Ikari team members. He will increase 20% ultimate resistance for 2 rounds, which is very appropriate because he's a tank. So definitely guys, Ikari team, the new Ikari team in specific, is a synergized team that's worth considering. Now, of course, the interference skill, as you all know, decrease all the enemy's attack, and it's not stackable with other interference skills. Interfere skills does not take place when the fighter is deployed as an 8 fighter, so it only takes place when the fighter is in the team. And at level 1, he decreases all enemies' attack by 15%, definitely a skill that is worth having in every single team. So yeah guys, that was his passive. Now moving to his minor skill, Explosive Punch. Attack a single enemy, attack the target with the explosive gunpowder first, so priority goes to the one with having an explosive gunpowder layer. Decrease the target's defense by 50% and resistance rate by 20% for 2 rounds. The debuffs are just so high, the numbers are just so high. And decrease the target's rage by 200 as well. And adds an extra layer of explosive gunpowder to the target, because as well what we've mentioned, he can give the layer of explosive gunpowder when he makes a skill or an ultimate. Restore the same amount of rage as the target's rage decrease, so which is 200. In this case, he will restore 200 rage for himself, and the rage decreasing effect of this attack won't be intensified through combo. So here I think they mean that the net result of the skill is that he will reduce the rage of his opponent by 200, such that it's like he won't really increase the rage any more than that, since because of the combo or his the regular rage that he increases once he attacks the opponent. So the net result would be a decrease of 200 rage after his minor skill. Okay, besides, this effect won't cause a critical hit, but at the same time it won't be blocked, so it's like an in-between solution between the two. It can't really make a crit, this skill, but at the same time it can't be blocked, so it's actually kind of cool. So yeah, that was his minor skill. And finally, his ultimate, Galactica Phantom. Attack a single enemy, attack the target with explosive gunpowder first as always, restore 60 rage to allies in the back row, and this value actually increases after the weapon awakens, I think to 80, and then after his smacks it increases to 100, which is great. Increase own attack, defense and anti-crit by 20% for 2 rounds, and own attack ignores the target's buff, or the target's defense, for 1 round. Increases own ultimate damage by 10%, and an extra 4% ultimate damage will be increased when each layer of explosive gunpowder is detonated. It can reach up to 20% because we've mentioned that the opponent can stack up to 6 layers of explosive gunpowder, so he can make use actually of 5 layers to get an extra 20% ultimate damage, which is great. If the target doesn't have an explosive gunpowder before one-man army Ralf attacks, an extra layer of explosive gunpowder will be added to the target, and if the target has more than 3 layers of explosive gunpowder, then they will all be detonated. So here we have 2 options for this ultimate. If the opponent has less than 3 layers of explosive gunpowder, he will simply add another layer. But if the opponent has 3 layers or more than 3 layers of explosive gunpowder, then instead he will detonate all the layers up to 0, of course, and he will make use of this detonation to regain HP and the ultimate damage as well. So anyway, it's still good. And small skill, of course, will be released this round if the opponent has more than 3 layers. And after the weapon awakens, the effect will be improved in an all-round way. A random enemy's rage will be decreased, so not only the main enemy's rage, but another random enemy's rage will be decreased, and the same amount of rage will be restored to one-man army Ralf. So I think here it's 200. I'm not really sure about the amount of the rage decrease, but I think it's 200 as well. And here he will actually gain the rage for himself again. So yeah guys, that was his skills. I think it's not really complicated. It's less complicated in a way than other fighters, like for instance especially Kenso. I think he was like the most complicated fighter in the game. But anyway, you've seen the skill set. Now here I need to mention his gate partners, which are Hydern, Clark, and Orochi Leona. As usual, easy gate partners. I'm sure all of you have the 3 fighters, so it shouldn't be hard to work on his gates. Now the question is Ralf a good fighter or not? Definitely guys, I mean a lot of people have been waiting for him for a reason. I mean he is a really good fighter and a really good tank in specific. Now to which team I would recommend him? Now here we have to think about synergies more than well, again, I think he can work in many teams, but we should think about the synergies more. Like let's say for example, considering his tanky part, like him as a tank. If you guys don't have Oswald or you didn't get Oswald, I think you should really get Ralf, because you can't really hang on at this stage of the game without a good tank. And the best 2 tanks at this stage of the game are definitely Oswald and Ralf. So if you didn't get Oswald, then definitely you should consider Ralf without hesitation, to be honest. Other than that, it's actually up to you. It depends if you really need more tankiness in your team or not, but he is a great tank, to be honest, and he has a lot of means to regain rage and everything, so he's a good tank to consider. Now, what I like more about him is that his wild bear part. I mean, he's a wild bear, and if you still need like a wild bear for your, I don't know, 4 souls, or if you want to combine him with Cara Leona for a reason or anything, I mean, the only bears that still compete in the game, let's say, are Silent Soldier Leona and Night Vergis. So actually, if you're not using one of those 2, or if you just want to change them, then definitely you can consider Ralf as your bear, because he'll be a good bear and a good tank as well. So here you can see it depends on the utility. What do you need more in your team? But overall, of course, his interference skill, which is a skill that I've mentioned, it's really needed in every team. So yeah, you can definitely consider Ralf in one of these 3 cases if you want the interference skill, if you want a good tank, or if you want a good wild bear. So pretty much I would see him in most of the teams, like Oswald, like how Oswald was really widespread, and Chionne as well for some reason. I would expect to see Ralf in many teams. So yeah guys, and especially I need to mention something, which is the new Ikari team. Silent Soldier Leona, One-Man Army Ralf, and Strong and Cool Clark. Those 3 will be really good together. You've seen the buffs that they can make somehow together, so definitely if you can make it work to get the 3 of them and use the 3 of them together, that would be great. Okay guys, now moving to the runes, which runes should be good for him? Now here we have 3 options for him. Okay, let's go here. So 3 options for Ralf. The first one would be Earth's Heart, because it gives him resistance, which is something he needs as a tank. The second one is the Protector Soul, because you've seen he has a good block rate, so this will actually boost his block rate and his anti-crit actually more. And the third one would be Heart of Thorns, because again I always like Heart of Thorns for frontliners, especially for tanks. So either one of those three will be good for him. I'm actually gonna use Protector Soul for him in my second account, the Wild Bear account, simply because I'm using Heart of Thorns on Oswald. So this leaves me with Protector Soul, which is again a really good one for him, especially because he does have means of regaining HP, so I don't really worry about that part. So either one of those three should be good. And lastly, which fifth Fight Soul can be good for him? Again, he does have a lot of options. You can use Storm Fight Soul for him, which could be great to add more the explosive gunpowders for the opponents, or detonate or get them. You can use this one, or Unyielding, which is always good for a tank. And the third one would be the Devil as well, the Devil Fight Soul again. Although I'd say, the Unyielding and the Storm are really good for him. One of them should be really great on him. So yeah guys, that was it regarding One Man Army Ralf. Definitely a cool fighter. He will be a good threat to all of us. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts about him, and if you're getting him or not. If you have any comments, just let me know that in the comments below, of course, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.